Hello, my friends. Welcome to this very quick discussion about the PMI-ACP exam, the Agile Certified Practitioner exam. Lots of you get certified as PMPs, and the next step, logical step that you think of is taking the ACP exam because you've done all this prep work and you don't want it to waste. So I want those of you who have taken training from Praizion to think about using those hours that you've already collected as part of your training, a lot of the hours on Agile. Think about directing that effort towards your PMI-ACP. All right, now you already know my views about market value and low risk, high value, all that talk. And that's why I normally tell those of you who have been through our training to first think about taking the low cost, low risk certification. If you haven't watched my videos on that, go look for it. I talk about the PSM exam, but lots of you say, okay, Phil, after that, what next? I want to do something else. Or you say, well, I might as well just leverage what I did with PMP and go for ACP. I understand. And that's why Roy and I have you covered. In fact, we've got training coming up really quick. It's going to be happening in March, April, and of course, beyond. We'll keep doing this training. But if you want to know more about this training course, go on down to projectmanagementdoctor.com/PMIACP. You're going to learn all the domains, all the topics for PMI-ACP preparation. So let's jump straight into what exactly the PMI-ACP exam is made up of. You've got 7 domains. You've got the mindset, you got the concept of value-driven delivery, the concept of stakeholder engagement, team performance, adaptive planning, problem detection and resolution, and continuous improvement, product, process, and people. I know some of you who've taken our training are like, wait a minute, Phil, isn't that exactly what you trained us on during the PMP training? That's true. The training that we offer for the ACP exam has a lot of similarity with the ACP. The PMP training has a lot of similarity with the ACP. So those are the domains. Now, how are these broken down? Well, you've got 120 questions. 20 of the questions are pre-test questions. The first domain is Agile principles and mindset. The second, value delivery, value-driven delivery. And together, those form about a third of the exam. So that's huge. That's 36% of the exam. Stakeholder engagement is 17%, team performance 16%, adaptive planning 12%, problem detection and resolution 10%, and continuous improvement, product, process, and people 9%. So let's dive into these a little bit more so that you get an idea of what you know and what you don't know as far as this exam is concerned. So domain 1, we are going to be focusing on the Agile manifesto values and principles, the Agile frameworks that exist in any terminology, and any specific methods. You know, there's a difference between a framework versus what we would call a method and approaches, even though some people use those interchangeably. It's not right. For example, Scrum is a framework. So we'll talk about things like that and get you in the right mindset. As we talk about this, we're going to be covering the 9 tasks under Agile principles and mindset. Now you can see it goes a little bit deeper than the PMP, right? It gets more specific to what you need to know in mindset. But it's not a showstopper for many of you because we prepared you so well to be able to roll with Agile anyway. All right, so those are the 9 tasks. Advocate for Agile principles, ensure people have a common understanding, support change at all levels, practice visualization. We talk about different information disbursement methods, most popular one being Alistair Coburn's information radiator, to be able to show real progress and things like that, contributing to a safe and trustful team environment, enhancing creativity by experimenting with new techniques, encouraging team members to share knowledge by collaborating, encouraging emergent leadership, which we didn't talk exactly about it, but leadership could emerge from within individuals in the team in a natural way. We'll talk about that in the training, and practicing servant leadership. Okay, next one is the second domain, value-driven delivery. Deliver valuable results by producing high-value increments for review early and often based on stakeholder priorities. Have the stakeholders provide feedback on these increments and use this feedback to prioritize and improve future increments. So everything from the very beginning of MVP all the way to the concept of the PSI and beyond. And here we talk about all manner of stuff, different things, different topics, as you can see on the screen. Moving on to the actual tasks, we can see 14 tasks here. And at a high level, we've got define positive value, avoiding potential downsides, the concept of prioritization, and incremental development. You can see the individual tasks, starting with task 1, define deliverables by identifying units that can be produced incrementally, refine the requirements, select and tailor the team's process based on the project and other factors, plan for small releasable increments, limit increment size, solicit customer and user feedback, prioritize the units of work through collaboration with stakeholders, perform frequent review and maintenance of the work results, continuously identify and prioritize the environmental, operational, and infrastructure factors to improve quality, conduct operational reviews and/or periodic checkpoints with stakeholders in order to obtain feedback and corrections to the work, balance development of deliverable units and risk reduction efforts by incorporating both value producing and risk reducing work into the backlog, reprioritize requirements periodically, elicit and prioritize relevant non-functional requirements, and conduct frequent reviews of work products by performing inspections, reviews, and/or testing, so on and so forth. So that's the second domain. The third domain is all about stakeholder engagement. Engage current and future interested parties by building a trusting environment that aligns their needs and expectations and balances their requests with an understanding of the cost or effort involved. Promote participation and collaboration throughout the project lifecycle by providing the tools for effective and informed decision-making. So a big one you expect to see are the tools. As you can see, the arrow over here showing you the tools. We got user stories, backlogs, story maps, wireframes, information radiators, burn down, burn up. These are ways that you suck the stakeholders into that sphere that you're looking to, the sphere of engagement, to get them engaged. And all of these other tools talked about, workshops, two-way communication, social media-based communication, you got to look at these as stakeholder engagement vehicles to suck the stakeholders in, to get them engaged, and it's really for their own benefit. Okay, let's talk about the intricacies, the different tasks in stakeholder engagement. So we got 9 tasks here. At a high level, we've got understanding the stakeholders' needs, ensuring stakeholder involvement, and managing stakeholder expectations. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds very much like what you did in the world of PMP. And that's why those of you looking to jump on the bandwagon, you know, saying, Phill, yes, I understand value, low risk, low cost, and high value, that kind of stuff, I understand, but I cannot allow my PMP efforts to go fallow. And I understand that. And to your point, that is not to say that the ACP is not in demand. This is a quick job search on DICE. And as you can see here, there are some individuals, some jobs looking for project manager with PMP and current PMI-Agile certified practitioner. So there are some jobs out there where they are looking for someone that has a PMI-ACP experience. They may not be as much as the CSM and the PSM, but they are out there, okay? So full disclosure, I don't want to give you the impression that ACP is the highest in demand Agile certification in the marketplace. It's not. However, there are some jobs where you may find them asking for ACP, or, you know, you may say ACP preferred and stuff like that, okay? So moving back to our individual tasks here, we can see task 1, identify and engage effective and empowered business stakeholders through periodic reviews. Identify and engage all stakeholders, task 2. Task 3, establish stakeholder relationship by forming a working agreement among key stakeholders. Task 4, maintain proper stakeholder involvement by continually assessing changes in the project and organization in order to ensure that new stakeholders are appropriately engaged. Establish collaborative behaviors, task 5, among the members of the organization. Task 6, establish a shared vision of the various project increments. Task 7, establish and maintain a shared understanding of success criteria, deliverables, and acceptable trade-offs by facilitating awareness among stakeholders in order to align expectations and build trust. Task 8, provide transparency regarding work status by communicating team progress, work quality, impediments, and risk in order to help the primary stakeholders make informed decisions. And last but not least, task 9 in this one just says provide forecasts at a level of detail that balances the need for certainty and the benefits. The benefits of adaptability in order to allow stakeholders to plan effectively. So that's it. You can see some of these areas, they have more information than others, but at a super high level, that's pretty much it. That's task 3, domain 3 with 9 tasks on stakeholder engagement. Let's move on to our next one. This is domain 4, team performance. We've got 3 subdomains and 9 tasks. The overall idea is to create an environment of trust, learning, collaboration, and conflict resolution that promotes team self-organization, enhances relationship among team members, and cultivates a culture of high performance. So there are various things we'll teach you in the session, the tools, things like servant leadership, co-located teams, distributed teams, team space, agile tooling, daily stand-ups, EI, learning cycle, and productivity and things like that. Let's get into the actual tasks. Here, again, we can see that we've got 9 tasks. We've got 3 breakdowns, 3 subdomains. So we've got team formation, team empowerment, and team collaboration and commitment. Let's start from the very first one. You'll find these to be very, very similar to what you studied during the PMP adventure. Task 1, cooperate with the other team members to devise ground rules and internal processes in order to foster team coherence and strengthen team members' commitment to shared outcomes. So remember that whole narrative we talk about, team charter, social contract, team contract. It's all that narrative that we'll review here. Help create a team that has the interpersonal and technical skills needed to achieve all known project objectives in order to create business value with minimal delay. All right, I'll paraphrase from here on out. Encourage team members to become T-shaped skills profile type of people, generalizing specialists. Task 4, contribute to self-organizing the work by empowering others, pretty much talking about pulling the work to yourself. Task 5, continuously discover team and personal motivators and demotivators. Task 6, facilitate close communication with the team and with appropriate external stakeholders through co-location or the use of collaboration tools in order to reduce miscommunication and rework. Task 7, reduce distractions in order to establish a predictable outcome. Task 8, participate in aligning project and team goals. And task 9, encourage the team to measure its velocity by tracking and measuring actual performance in previous iterations or releases in order for members to gain a better understanding of their capacity. And we've talked about stuff like that in the training. And that's why in this training course, my friends, you actually do not need to sit down for another 23 plus hours, right? Instead, you attend for 4 weeks, and within 4 weeks, you get all the brushing up and all the direction that you need to be able to take this test. It's really that simple, especially those of you who have been on the Praizion training. Now, even those of you who have been on other trainings and you're thinking of taking the PMI-ACP, think about it. All the Agile training that you folks did for your PMP exam, do you know that it's not going to be wasted? It's not going to be wasted because there's a lot of commonality, all right? So I want to encourage you at this point, if you're thinking of taking this exam, why not go on down now? Because we got a really stellar deal going right now on Praizion.com. Just go on down to Praizion.com and look for Agile Certified Practitioner Training. Just click on that. Whatever the month is, it's all right. We're going to have this again and again. So this is not a one-time thing. But if you go there, you'll find that we've got some really great offers going on. Just jump on that, sign up for it, and you can see the breakdown. Week 1, we're doing the first 2 domains. Week 2, the second, the third and the fourth domain. And week 3, we're doing 5 and 6. And then week 4, we go into domain 7. But we also have every Wednesday, we have class where we're going to be having teams and individuals coming in, whether you're coming in with your team or you're coming in as a person, come to the study group, bring your buddies along, come to the study group, And we're going to be looking at some pretty crazy questions, the craziest of the questions you could imagine for the ACP exam. And that's going to be on Wednesday. So even though class, which we say is mandatory, is every Saturday, every Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. Eastern for 1 hour, 7 to 8 Eastern on Wednesdays, we're going to be having that study group where we take a look at Agile questions, the worst of the worst, to prepare you for that big day. All right. So if this is something you're serious about, now is a time to jump on it, my friends. Again, the link, projectmanagementdoctor.com/PMIACP. All right. So that is domain 4. Now, you know, we've got 7 domains, but let's go on to our next domain, and then we'll circle back and take a look at the percentages one more time. So domain 5, adaptive planning. You learned about this, right? All of this talk about MMF, MVP, MMP, and much more. You know, wideband Delphi, time boxing, tailoring, velocity, and a few other things that came before it. Because when we talk about adaptive planning, there's got to be some form of leadership involved as well. And this is all about producing and maintaining an evolving plan from initiation to closure based on goals, values, risks, constraints, stakeholder feedback, and review findings. And I see someone said initiation to closure. It sounds like the PMBOK. I know, but it's not. It's really just in general. You initiate Agile projects and you, of course, close them out. You got to remember that the narrative of product, even though it's quite strong in Agile, we don't negate the idea about Agile projects. So don't see it strange if you find some project management speak. All right, here we go in adaptive planning. We've got 3 subdomains. We've got levels of planning. We've got adaptation and Agile sizing and estimation. So tasks 1, 2, and 3. This is all under levels of planning. Plan at multiple levels, strategic, release, iteration, daily. That's pretty much the Agile onion, which we've covered in the past in our courses. Task 2, make planning activities visible and transparent by encouraging participation of key stakeholders and publishing planning results in order to increase commitment level and reduce uncertainty. Task 3, as the project unfolds, set and manage stakeholder expectations by making increasingly specific levels of commitments in order to ensure common understanding of the expected deliverables. Adaptation, task 4, adapt the cadence and the planning process based on results of periodic retrospectives about characteristics and or the size, complexity, criticality of the project deliverables. So contrary to what a lot of people think, whether you are in iteration-based Agile or flow-based Agile, you are not bound from adapting the cadence as it makes sense. Not every week, but as it makes sense, right? In the world of Kanban, we know that the cadence isn't fixed, but we'll talk more about that in the training. Task 5, inspect and adapt the project plan to reflect changes in requirements, schedule, budget. Let's go to task 6, Agile sizing and estimation. This is where we use all the fun tools, the wideband Delphi, the t-shirt sizing, so on and so forth. It says size items by using progressive elaboration techniques in order to determine likely project size, independent of team velocity and external variables. Task 7, adjust capacity by incorporating maintenance and operations demands and other factors in order to create or update the range estimate. Task 8, create initial scope, schedule, and cost range estimates that reflect current high-level understanding of the effort necessary to deliver the project in order to develop a starting point for managing the project. Task 9, refine scope, schedule, and cost range estimates that reflect the latest understanding of the effort necessary to deliver the project in order to manage the project. And task 10, continuously use data from changes in resource capacity, project size, and velocity metrics in order to evaluate the estimate to complete. Those terms, I know they sound a little bit PMBOK-ish, but it's just general. I have to be honest with you, on the exam, you're not going to get a boatload of questions that test you on the technicalities. You get more questions that focus on behaviors, attitudes, and mindset. Even while asking you questions about adaptive planning, you very well could get more behavior-oriented questions. It is important to remember that. Okay. Domain 6, problem detection and resolution. This is an inspect adapt thing we continuously do throughout Agile. This is what they're getting at. Continuously identify problems, impediments, and risks. Prioritize and resolve in a timely manner. Monitor and communicate the problem's resolution status, and implement process improvements to prevent them from occurring again. So here we're talking about all sorts of techniques you can see on the screen: problem solving, process analysis, managing with Agile KPIs, and continuous integration, all sorts of things. All of these are meant to help you detect and resolve any problems. Okay, let's go into the actual tasks. The very short one with 5 tasks. We have create an open and safe environment by encouraging conversation and experimentation in order to surface really impediments. We don't use the word problem a whole lot to begin with. We typically just say impediments, obstacles, blockers, but we use the word problem in this outline. Task 2, identify threats and issues by educating and engaging the team at various points. So the difference between a threat, an issue, an impediment has happened. We could refer to it as an issue occasionally. A threat is something that could affect the project. So it's not happening now. It's different from an impediment. We're going to make all of this stuff clear so that you can see right through the questions. Ensure issues are resolved by appropriate team members and or reset expectations. And that applies to impediments as well. Task 4, maintain a visible, monitored, and prioritized list of threats and issues in order to elevate accountability, encourage action, and track ownership. So this is where the quirkiness of the PMI-ACP comes in. There's some things like this, which is why we go through the content outline, so that on the exam, if you came across options that refer to tracking the risks or tracking threats or even impediments, right? We go through PMI's lens of how these things are done. Task 5, communicate status of threats and issues by maintaining a threat list and incorporating activities into backlog of work. So we talk about a risk-adjusted backlog and other things. All right, and last but not least, domain 7, continuous improvement. Continuously improve the quality, effectiveness, and value of the product, the process, and the team. So we talk about the shuhari. We'll talk about that when we get together in the class, self-assessment tools and techniques, and the concept of continuous improvement, not just being for the team, not just being for the product, but for you as an individual. That whole idea of you continuously improving. Agile hybrid models, PMI code of ethics and professional conduct. We'll also take a glance at that as well, even though you should have already read it for your PMP. Domain 7, here are the breakdowns of the tasks. We got 6 tasks. The first one is tailor and adapt. The second one is improve team performance by conducting frequent retrospectives. In your Agile practice guide, which we will look at as well, it does read that the single most important meaning in the world of Agile is this, the retrospective. So again, those little nuances in the Agile practice guide, we are going to be walking you through this. And you got to remember, my buddy Roy and I, we've done this. We did this a while back, right? And we've stayed consistent with it. I got certified back in 2016, that's 6 years ago. Roy got certified way before I did. So you got to understand that we're bringing to you a course that is based on our experience as students, just like you are being a student right now. This is an exam we've both taken. We're well aware of the question types and the trickery involved, okay? So if you are looking to get certified as a PMI-ACP, you want to be in a classroom where you got 2 capable ACPs, and not just that, you can take a look at the plethora of certifications behind each of our names from the world of Agile, right? We each have way over 6 each Agile type certifications from different perspectives, Scrum Alliance, from Ken Schwaber's company, scrum.org, from PMI. So this is the place you want to be, my friends, okay? Going down there again, if you're just coming, it's projectmanagementdoctor.com/PMI-ACP. And we're on our final domain, and we're just here talking about the importance of understanding PMI's quirkiness and how the exam is actually set. All right, task 3, Seek feedback on the product by incremental delivery and frequent demonstrations. Remember, through incremental delivery, you're also given the opportunity to improve. Task 4, create an environment of continued learning by providing opportunities for people to develop their skills in order to develop a more productive team of generalizing specialists, T-shaped skills. You don't want an I-shaped profile type of a person. And if you do get an I-shaped profile type of a person, you want to improve, help those individuals to improve. Task 5, challenge existing process elements by performing a value stream analysis and removing waste. You got to cut out the muda, you got to cut out the waste, cut out the fat. So that whole idea about lean-mindedness and lean thinking, we're going to keep preaching that all throughout the course. In fact, through what I've covered right now, this is a lot of what you will hear in the training, but we'll be putting some more tools, some more techniques, more visualizations, and a lot of questions around it to make sure that you have truly imbibed that mindset. I would say that on the PMP exam, you get softball questions from an Agile realm. For the ACP, the questions are going to be harder from an Agile perspective. But is it doable? It's absolutely doable. It's absolutely. All right. Final one, task 6, create systemic improvements by disseminating knowledge and practices across projects and organizational boundaries in order to avoid reoccurrence of identified problems and improve the effectiveness of the organization as a whole. And that, my friends, is pretty much all of the domains. Now, going into the specific tools and techniques, we've got the Agile Analysis and Design Toolkit, Agile Estimation, Communications, and all of these items, we are going in to all of them, right? Interpersonal skills, metrics of all sorts, planning, monitoring and adapting, process improvement, product quality, risk management, value-based prioritization, and all of these knowledge and skills that you're seeing here. We are going in to all of these, okay? Last but not least, here's the breakdown. You got to remember the biggest one on the exam is value-driven delivery, and coupled with the likes of stakeholder engagement, agile principles and mindset, those are really big. Team performance as well, the soft, squishy stuff, right? Adaptive planning, problem detection and resolution, and continuous improvement. If you wanted to look at it like this, we have two pieces on the exam, right? We have pieces that focus more on the technicalities of these practices, and then we have those that don't. So if you look at those that are more on the techie side, which by the way are more behavioral, I'll just tell you that, even though they do surround these topics. You can see we've got roughly 51%, right? So it's kind of an even split. It's like 49% people-oriented type of stuff and like a 51% process kind of stuff, to call it that. But you got to remember that even though they're testing you on the process stuff, which I've made red in that frame, a lot of it is still going to have some people elements in it, because as you're doing value-driven delivery, you still need a people mindset, a mindset of collaboration over negotiation. As you're doing adaptive planning, you need to have an idea of consensus and helping the team get to convergence, right? Problem detection and resolution, again, is done by humans. And the concept of continuous improvement is not just in a product or in the team, it's actually in us as individuals. So it still has some people element. As you can see, it says product, process, and that word people. So it's a rather people-oriented exam. I'll tell you from my perspective, when I took the ACP exam, I want to say at least 75% of it was very people heavy. I could hardly believe how little Kanban, Scrum, specifics as far as t-shirt sizing and all that stuff. I had very little of that on my test. It was more like people, behavioral, situational stuff. What would you do if this was a situation involving people? All right. So if this is something you want to do, my friends, again, if you're just coming, we're talking about training coming up with my buddy Roy and I, going down to Praizion.com. look for the PMI-ACP link, or just going down to projectmanagementdoctor.com/PMI-ACP. We're going to put a link below. And part of this course involves Wednesdays having nothing but a study group where we're going to be tackling Agile questions, really sour Agile questions. I tell you, some of these questions, they made some people cry, but we're going to show you how to answer them. We're going to get you bulletproof so that when you see the exam questions, you're going to be like slam dunk. You're going to do well. All right. All the students my buddy Roy has trained in the past year, all PMI ACPs without stress. All right. So if you want to be on a winning team for this exam, go on down to the website. Got any questions? Send them to info@praizion.com or put them in the comments below. Take care, my friends. Talk to you soon.